watching CBC Sports. I'm Anastasia Busis, and I have the privilege of chatting with some of Canada's greatest athletes. And today I'm talking to Dawn Richardson Wilson. Dawn, thanks so much for joining me. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be connected with you because we've got a few connections, of course, both from Alberta. But you were born in Accra, Ghana, and then moved to Edmonton at age 2. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience? What do you remember?
I will say, coming from Ghana at a young age, I don't remember anything. So growing up, just to be completely honest, yeah, I think like at that age, it's hard to really like bring the experience that you had at like 2 or 3 years old over here without your parents like instilling that into you. So I would say my upbringing has been mostly Canadian with the hint of Liberian Ghanaian culture as well as the Filipino upbringing as well. So just a blend of amazing cultures together. Yeah.
You have been so candid and vulnerable, and you've said, my family and my friends are my heroes. And I know you lost both of your parents at a very young age. Um, how have your family and friends made you who you are today?
I do think just like the community that I was born into, just they really shaped me into who I am today, just with how they've been so open with having tough conversations, encouraging me to reach for the stars, and even helping me along the way with those journeys. I do think like having a strong support system will allow a lot of people to just be able to take those steps that maybe, it's waking up in the morning, sending that phone call, hey, how's it going, have you done your assignments, have you went to work out? And if I'm like, I haven't worked out today, they're like, okay, like I'm on my way, I'm coming to grab you and we're gonna go. And you're just like, oh, I don't want to, but it's that right there that builds us into who we are today.
I know your brother has played a really significant role in your life. How did he impact your relationship with sport?
I do think like he's been somebody who's been able to just like make it out there when he can. I think the biggest part of growing up is having somebody to make that time for you. There's a saying, it's like kids spell trust Time. So I do think like when you do put time into kids, it just gives them the ability to trust in you as well as like trust in their purpose. I really value like having time spent with just like family members, friends, loved ones, because it's like that's how we do build trust and that's how we build community. And that's how, we shape these young minds into like reaching for the stars and achieving something that maybe that small girl in Edmonton didn't even think she would be in Calgary or let alone on a bobsleigh track somewhere in Europe. So I do think like just building that will allow a lot of kids to reach for the stars.
How did you get into sport? Like, were you just always an immediate athlete?
I do think like I wasn't always an immediate athlete. I think I love to dabble in so many different things. I played instruments, I did a little bit of art, I did a little bit of just like everything that had to do with just trying new things. But once I found sport, I think the feelings that I associated with the loss of my parents was able to be used to good measures. I found sports because I needed to find sports, and I don't think if I found sports, that outlet for those emotions would be able to be used correctly. So I'm so happy that I've been able to just pour that in to something positive and have something positive come out of it.
That's absolutely beautiful. You've also been vulnerable and candid, and you said sport really helped me find my voice. What did that
Mhm.
process look like?
So I'm quiet by nature. Like if you've ever met me, I take a bit of time to just like warm up to people. I remember my first bobsleigh trip. I was in a car with two of my friends, and I did not speak that whole ride from Calgary to Whistler. I would say here like little comments here and there, but there was still that girl who was afraid of really putting herself out there for maybe fear of rejection, fear of not fitting in, or just fear of the unknown. And I do think like over time, like being able to just meet great athletes and have conversations and be put on the spot, literally at the top of the hill, but also behind and in front of cameras. It's that really does shape you and challenge you to become a better athlete as well as a better spokesperson. And I think once I understood that, the voice inside kind of just came out, it started slowly speaking, and people were like, whoa, what? Like she says something, but like now they're like, okay, that's Dawn. Like this is who she is initially, but once she gets warmed up, she won't stop talking. So yeah.
I love that. Why bobsleigh? I guess. As I've mentioned, like you played so many, and you're such a talented athlete. What made you fall in love with bobsleigh?
Honestly, I love the challenge. I think like the stigma against bobsleigh athletes looking a certain way really drew me to just like, you know what, let's rewrite that. The love of the sport came from the challenge that it produced and just the opportunities to really prove to myself that, hey, like you can do something great. You don't have to, you know, stay in this box that people put you in. You can like break out the box and show others that they can also break out of whatever boxes they're going or they're currently in.
Well, the best role models are the ones that you can see, and all of Canada watched you, of course, in Beijing 2022. You finished eighth. What was that experience like, and was the goal always to be an Olympian? I suppose.
I would say I get asked that question a lot. It's like I feel like when people go into sports, they kind of look at it from a how far can I take this? For me, I was just going with the flow. I was happy to be there, happy to be hitting new accomplishments, happy to be climbing from development to senior to national team level. And I think it wasn't until the announcement came out and my name was there, and I was like, wow, this is real. Like, that's me.
It's so lovely when you look back on the journey, because when you're progressing, it's hard to have that perspective. But you say the cherry on top, a little pizzazz. How proud are you of yourself in this journey, because it was significant.
Honestly, I'm I haven't really like thought about it in terms of like myself per se, like the proudness that I feel. But looking back, I do think like that little girl who maybe was more timid, quiet, shy, couldn't see anything further than Edmonton Airport. Let's be honest. Just I was able to take her heartbreak and really transform it into something that like I don't want to say healed, but I do think there is some level of proudness in there. And if she could say anything, I do think like she would be like, I'm proud of you. And I think knowing that I made her proud, I think is something to just like want to keep going, want to keep continuing to make her proud, continuing to make my parents proud, my family members, my loved ones, and just everyone around me to know that she's still going. That little girl has so much more room to grow. And I do think like just overall proudness, how far we came, sorry, would just allow, that coming together and that I would say turning point in my life and being like, you know what, I want to do the same for other little girls out there.
You are doing the same for other little girls. That was absolutely beautifully put, Dawn. What's the hope and dream, given that we are less than a year out to Milano Cortina?
I think the hope and dream is to compete in my second Olympics and ideally get placed better than eighth. I do think like I started the quest for the games at such a young age, coming to a very mature sport. And now that I'm 25, turning 26, when I started at like 18, turning 19, I think that's just a whole lot of experience and power and strength and speed that can now be used to actually maybe, I would say, get a better result and just, continue to just make people around me proud and maybe show that you don't necessarily have to stick to a certain one sport. You can always bounce around, come back, try something new. But as long as you're developing yourself and working hard, I do think like that's the ultimate goal of an athlete, always wanting to be a better athlete, a better role model, and a better representation of what greatness and what, Canada can produce.
And fans of Team Canada, so happy to have you back. Last question. You were so beautiful when you said, I look back to that little girl and I hope she's proud. I guarantee you that she's proud of you. What do you think that little girl would tell you heading into your second Olympic Games?
I think just remember why you started and remember the passion that's gotten you this far. And then just go out there and be uh, who exactly God made you to be.